about the kind of stuff that's just embarrassing. Look at this here, please.
That's it.
In an unprecedented moment that has shocked the world and redefined the limits of celebrity vulnerability, the courtroom became a stage for emotion and revelation as Floyd Mayweather, once hailed as an untouchable boxing icon, broke down in tears while facing a life sentence. The seismic shift in his once dazzling legacy has captivated the hearts and minds of millions, igniting intense debate and drawing stark contrasts between fame and fallibility. Stephen Smith reacts with unmatched passion and insight, transforming this extraordinary moment into a powerful narrative of loss, redemption, and the raw human spirit that will leave you breathless forever. The case of Floyd Mayweather's dramatic downfall has swiftly evolved into one of the most talked about legal and cultural sagas of our time. Once the paragon of invincibility inside the ring, Mayweather now finds himself entangled in a labyrinth of legal challenges that have forced the public to re-examine not only his storied career, but also the intricate web of financial dealings that once elevated him to near mythical status. The court was filled with an atmosphere of tense anticipation and shock as details of a sprawling investigation, spanning encrypted files, secret transactions, and personal voice memos, emerged. The shock was palpable among onlookers, as every revelation painted a picture of a man who had built his empire on carefully constructed images and statements, only to see it crumble in the face of relentless legal scrutiny. The turning point in this riveting saga appears to have been the FBI's relentless investigation, which started with what was expected to be a routine financial audit. What investigators uncovered, however, went far beyond mere accounting discrepancies. The probe quickly ballooned into a full-scale examination of Mayweather's financial empire, exposing layers of encrypted communications and meticulously hidden transactions that had long concealed an alternate narrative to his flamboyant public persona. Courtroom whispers and gasps filled the air as evidence was presented that suggested a vast and hidden financial world that contradicted the image of untouchable wealth and success that the former boxing champion had so carefully cultivated. Every new document and every deciphered conversation added urgency to a story that was quickly morphing from a simple case of tax evasion into a complex drama of betrayal. Intricate financial maneuvers and deeply personal confessions. Among the revelations that have captured public attention were the digital footprints left behind on Mayweather's personal devices. Investigators detailed how voice memos and secret communications, messages that included coded language and references such as freak-offs, provided an intimate glimpse into the troubled mind of the man behind the
right out of your hand.
Hey, Skip, they might be leading us both in the ring.
They might.
Like, get it, Parker. I need to get paid.
This is incomprehensible to me, and I fell out of my chair yesterday when I first read this story or heard about this story. In fact, a friend tipped me off and said, you got to read this. But this man made around $230 million in 2015. And this man is, you won't hear me say a discouraging word about Floyd when it comes to IQ, smartness, his ability to make and handle money.
Yes.
But he's just flaunting, as you said, he's flaunting his opulence. He's also flaunting basically his middle finger at the IRS. You cannot do this.
No.
You will lose. This is one foe you can't outrun or outdance or outsmart or play defense on. You just can't get away with it. You can try for a while, but the clock is just, that meter is just running and running.
myth. These memos, reportedly filled with expressions of anguish, regret, and even a desire for a fresh start, shed light on the immense psychological toll that maintaining an image of financial invincibility can exact on a human being. In the midst of the formal legal proceedings, these personal recordings became a stark reminder that behind the glittering facade lay a man grappling with the heavy burden of expectations and the crushing solitude of a life lived in the public eye. Stephen Smith, ever the perceptive commentator, remarked that the emotional weight of these recordings revealed an inner vulnerability that few had ever imagined possible in the legend of the undefeated boxer. For years, Mayweather was celebrated not only for his feats inside the ring but also for his ostentatious display of wealth off it. His claims of owning a string of 62 buildings, with a purported portfolio valued at over $400 million, contributed to a persona that seemed impervious to both physical defeat and financial ruin. Yet, as the investigation unfolded, inconsistencies and a glaring lack of verifiable documentation began to cast serious doubts over these assertions. Detailed analysis of property records and financial statements raised questions about the legitimacy of his declared assets. Many of these properties were later found to be connected to nonprofit organizations rather than existing as personal real estate holdings. This revelation not only questioned the integrity of Mayweather's self-made image, but also underscored the broader issue of how celebrity branding can sometimes obscure the reality behind immense wealth, leaving fans and critics alike to wonder how much of what they believed was built on a foundation of carefully managed fiction. As the courtroom drama unfolded, a heart-wrenching scene emerged when Mayweather, surrounded by the trappings of legal battles and public scrutiny, broke down in tears. This moment of raw, unfiltered emotion resonated deeply with those watching, transforming him from a distant emblem of athletic prowess into a real human being, grappling with overwhelming pressure and regret. In his tearful state, he was heard confessing, through recorded statements later revealed in court, that the weight of his public persona had become unbearable. "I've always tried to be strong, but now I see that strength isn't just about fighting in the ring. It's about facing the truth, however painful it might be," he was reported to have said in a moment of rare vulnerability. Stephen Smith, with his trademark blend of empathy and candor, commented that this was the moment when the myth of Mayweather's invincibility was irrevocably broken, replaced by the undeniable reality of human frailty. The rapid deterioration of the carefully crafted image that once defined Mayweather's career has sparked widespread public
At the end of the day, like I said, man, I'm a strong individual. Nothing can throw me off. Nothing can throw me off key. I'm always focused on what I got to do.
And that's going to be the case August 26th?
August 26th is going to be real interesting. Like I said, and I'm not backing up. Remember, I told you that.
You're not backing up?
I'm not backing up.
We ain't going to see you backing up. We ain't going to see you retreating. We ain't going to see you moving away from that left hand of his.
I am human. Now, hold on.
Debate. Analysts and fans alike have been left to reconcile the dichotomy between the dazzling achievements in the ring and the murky legacy of financial decisions off it. The revelations of an elaborate, hidden web of transactions suggest that the public figure, celebrated for his agility and precision, was equally adept at constructing a narrative that concealed his vulnerabilities. As layers of the secret empire were peeled away in the relentless pursuit of truth, the transformation of his public persona became a symbol of how the glare of fame can distort reality. Stephen Smith was quick to point out that the unfolding event served as a potent reminder that even the most meticulously curated legends are ultimately subject to the unyielding force of truth, no matter how well hidden it might be. Deep within the vaults of the investigation lay a trove of encrypted files and voice recordings that not only implicated Mayweather in questionable financial practices, but also offered a window into his troubled thinking. These recordings were not merely evidence of financial impropriety. They were a chronicle of the emotional battles that raged within him over the years. In one particularly poignant tape, his voice trembled as he recounted feelings of isolation and the overwhelming pressure of maintaining an image that was increasingly at odds with his inner reality. In these private moments, the emblem of confident triumph transformed into a man burdened by the consequences of past decisions. Stephen Smith, ever the discerning observer, noted that these recordings were emblematic of the larger narrative, a brilliant career marred by the human need to escape from the weight of perfection, leaving behind traces of vulnerability that would ultimately prove impossible to conceal. The investigation not only challenged the mythos of Mayweather's personal brand, but also ignited a broader dialogue about the intersection of fame, fortune, and accountability. As the encrypted communications gradually yielded their secrets, a narrative emerged that connected seemingly disparate transactions and whispered discussions into a coherent story of ambition, mismanagement, and emotional disintegration. Authorities revealed that the complex network of secret meetings and coded messages was designed to deflect attention from the true nature of his financial dealings. In this intricate dance of deception, Mayweather's public statements had long provided a smokescreen to hide a far more complicated financial reality. The exposure of these methods forced an uncomfortable reckoning, not only for the man himself, but for an entire culture that had long idolized his unassailable exterior. Stephen Smith passionately described the situation as a transformative moment in celebrity culture, a case study in how even the most revered icons are ultimately human, susceptible to the same missteps and contradictions that plague.
No different from the. We're gonna go into the Floyd Mayweather mind. So when the Europeans came to the Native Americans, well, they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land. We don't call them European Americans. So I don't want to be called an African American. I'm an American. You know what I'm saying? You can call me a Black American, but I'm an American.
So if America,
when I went
Us all, within the grand theater of the courtroom, every small gesture and whispered remark took on monumental significance as Mayweather stood facing the possibility of a life-altering sentence. The historical weight of his legacy pressed down like an inevitable verdict. The collective gaze of the public seemed to hold its breath as the magistrate's reading of the sentence punctuated a day that would be remembered for its emotional gravity and cultural impact. Even as legal experts debated the nuances of the case, the personal testimony provided by his own recorded reflections left a mark that transcended legal boundaries. In one reflective moment, Mayweather admitted, "I thought I was invincible, but the truth is, no armor can protect you from the consequences of your choices." Stephen Smith's impassioned commentary resonated with millions watching the proceedings, capturing the profound irony of a man who had once soared on the wings of self-made legend, now brought low by the relentless march of accountability. The emotional upheaval of the courtroom was magnified by the revelations of long-hidden financial discrepancies that spoke to a broader issue of integrity and transparency in the world of celebrity finance. For years, the image of endless wealth and success had shielded Mayweather from scrutiny, with many fans assuming that his fortune was as real as his record-breaking victories. The truth, however, was far more complex and unsettling, as documents emerged revealing that many of the properties he claimed as personal were instead entangled with charitable organizations and other indirect channels. The once impenetrable aura of his financial empire began to show cracks. Law enforcement officials detailed how these discrepancies were not the product of mere oversight, but were instead indicative of an elaborate strategy designed to obscure the true state of his finances. This revelation prompted wide-ranging conversations about the ethics of celebrity endorsements and the role of media in perpetuating glamorized images that can sometimes hide uncomfortable realities. Stephen Smith noted that the unfolding revelation served as a powerful commentary on the fine line between public perception and private truth, urging viewers to look beyond the surface of celebrity narratives. Delving deeper into the cascade of evidence, investigators uncovered a series of clandestine communications that spanned several years and linked Mayweather to some of the most confidential business dealings in his career. Among these were late-night voice recordings, where he discussed meeting details and financial arrangements in hushed, nearly inaudible tones, a stark contrast to his otherwise flamboyant public persona. The intricate code words peppered throughout these messages, including references to gatherings shrouded in mystery and ambiguity, provided a
Like,
they're going to ask you, are you guilty of such a thing?
I mean, they can say whatever they want to say. I don't, even like every day in my life, certain men like to deal with one woman. Me, myself, I deal with how many women I want to deal with. I live my life the way I want to live my life. I do what makes Floyd Mayweather happy, no different from anyone else that's watching this interview. You have to do what makes you happy. And Floyd Mayweather gonna do what makes him happy.
But you're also thoughtful enough where you don't want to come across as misogynistic.
roadmap to understanding just how far removed the man in the spotlight had become from the image he had once carefully curated. In a particularly striking moment that has since been replayed countless times in media analyses, Mayweather was heard expressing a deep and enduring remorse for decisions made in the pursuit of wealth and prestige. Stephen Smith, with his characteristic blend of analysis and empathy, described this as the point where the public could no longer ignore the human cost of unchecked ambition and the profound isolation born from maintaining a facade of perfection. Beyond the courtroom and the evidence presented therein, the ripple effects of these revelations have permeated the very fabric of celebrity culture and public discourse. The case has prompted serious reflection on the responsibilities that come with immense fame and the consequences of a life lived in constant pursuit of public adulation. As commentators and cultural critics weigh in on the scandal, there's a growing consensus that the events surrounding Mayweather's trial represent something far larger than a single man's misfortunes. They embody a cautionary tale about the dangers of allowing personal ambition and public image to override the fundamental need for accountability and transparency. Conversations in boardrooms, living rooms, and across social media platforms now revolve around the need for systemic change in how wealth and success are measured and verified. Stephen Smith emphasized that this moment is not just about one fallen icon, but about rethinking the very notion of celebrity and the pressures that come with it. A call for honesty in a world where glitter and gloss too often mask the reality of human imperfection. The scandal has also stirred renewed interest in the nature of personal transformation and redemption. Despite the grim details of the investigation and the irreversible impact on his public image, there is a discernible undercurrent of hope that runs through Mayweather's own admissions and reflections. In several recorded conversations that have now been made public, he acknowledged not only the mistakes of his past, but also the possibility of forging a new path that embraces authenticity over artifice. "This isn't the end of my story," he is reported to have said in one of the recordings, a statement that resonated with many who believe that every individual, no matter how celebrated or fallen, can find a way back to redemption. Stephen Smith, known for his ability to distill complex emotional narratives into compelling commentary, remarked that these insights were a testament to the enduring human capacity for change. In a world where public figures are often deified without ever being held accountable for their humanity, Mayweather's admission of imperfection has struck a chord, offering a glimmer of hope that even in the face of devastating scrutiny, transformation remains possible. As the legal proceedings continue,
I'm at the top. When you're talking about landing on the highest percentage, I'm at the top. And when you talk about making the most money, we ain't got to talk about that. We already know who at the top. So is it jealousy? Absolutely. All around the board, because if any legendary champion or if Oscar De La Hoya was in this position right now, and he was in a position to fight McGregor, if any and make a fortune, he would do it. But it's only one problem. He don't have the swag of a Floyd Mayweather.
To unravel the significance of these events has taken on a nearly mythic quality, a modern-day parable that captures the tragic beauty of a life lived in extremes. The juxtaposition of raw, vulnerable emotion against the backdrop of an unyielding judicial system has created a narrative that seems torn from the pages of an epic saga, where the clash between the forces of fame and the unrelenting pursuit of truth plays out in dramatic, almost theatrical fashion. Every courtroom detail, every hushed conversation between legal experts, and every tear shed in that fateful moment contributes to a story that transcends the particulars of the case, evolving into a broader meditation on the price of human ambition. Stephen Smith's passionate analysis has repeatedly highlighted how this case encapsulates not only the personal journey of one man, but also the collective struggle of a society that increasingly finds itself at odds with the glossy veneer of celebrity culture. In the days following the courtroom spectacle, reactions poured in from every corner of the nation. Social media platforms buzzed with discussions and debates, with countless fans, analysts, and ordinary citizens reflecting on the extraordinary events that had unfolded. Many expressed a mixture of disbelief and empathy, moved by the raw emotional display and the stark human truths laid bare by the evidence. The once untouchable image of a fighter who had never lost a bout now stood exposed as the epitome of vulnerability, a man whose very human emotions clashed with the myth of his invincibility. In one widely shared comment, Stephen Smith eloquently encapsulated the sentiment, stating, "It is in our moments of greatest weakness that we find our truest strength, and in Floyd's tears we see the reflection of our own struggles." His words resonated deeply, forming a bridge between the persona that the public had admired and the all-too-human reality behind it. The financial intricacies that emerged over the course of the investigation have introduced a level of complexity that challenges conventional perceptions of success and wealth. For years, Mayweather's public declarations of extravagant property holdings and vast fortunes had stood unchallenged by the mainstream financial community. It was as if the aura of celebrity triumph rendered the details of monetary transactions moot, allowing for an almost fantastical narrative of a life free from fiscal worry. However, as the layers of deception were methodically peeled away, it became apparent that much of this narrative was built upon a foundation of misrepresentation and obfuscation. Meticulous audits and painstaking investigations laid bare inconsistencies that suggested a deliberate effort to hide the true scale of his financial operations. Critics and supporters alike were forced to confront a startling
Any fighter. Not just best defense, let's talk about offense. The most accurate fighter of all time. On the outside the ring, it's not just about being in the inside the ring. I already conquered that. I'm even smarter on the outside. You know, I have to be a genius to even make a fight like this happen. So what does that say about me for making this fight happen?
It says that you're a brilliant businessman, not just a great boxer.
reality. The very measures of success that had once defined him were now inextricably linked to a web of secrecy and half-truths. Stephen Smith argued that these revelations should prompt a broader reevaluation of how we judge public figures, encouraging a shift towards valuing transparency and accountability over mere appearance. In a particularly stirring development, the recordings that captured Mayweather's inner turmoil were analyzed in detail by both legal experts and cultural commentators. The words spoken in those moments of vulnerability were laden with regret and introspection, revealing a man who had long been caught between the demands of an impossibly high public image and the raw realities of personal frailty. In one recording that quickly became the subject of intense discussion, he was heard lamenting the unrelenting pressure that had forced him to adopt a persona of relentless strength, a persona that ultimately eroded his ability to cope with the emotional fallout of his decisions. These insights were not just fodder for sensational headlines. They served as a mirror reflecting the broader human condition, illustrating how the burdens of success and the cost of perfection can lead to profound internal conflict. Stephen Smith's commentary on the matter was imbued with both compassion and an analytical clarity that underscored the deep irony of the situation, as he noted that sometimes the ultimate triumph lies in recognizing one's own vulnerabilities. As the investigation reached its crescendo, attention turned toward the intricate network of individuals and entities that had played a role in shaping Mayweather's financial narrative. Among the revelations was evidence suggesting that several high-profile figures had, at various times, been involved in private communications with the boxing icon. Rumors and speculative conversations abounded about the nature of these interactions, though it quickly became clear that they were part of a larger strategy aimed at insulating the true scale of his financial operations. The discovery of encrypted messages detailing clandestine meetings and suspicious financial transfers added yet another layer to an already convoluted story. These details, though complex, serve to highlight a central theme. The relentless pursuit of an idealized image can lead individuals to engage in practices that are as morally ambiguous as they are legally questionable. Stephen Smith's insightful commentary repeatedly emphasized that the case was not just about the specifics of fraudulent transactions, but rather about the overarching human tendency to prioritize image over integrity, a tendency that has profound implications for how society at large perceives success. The impact of this case extends far beyond the confines of the courtroom or the intricacies of financial mismanagement. At its core, the saga of Floyd Mayweather's rise and precipitous fall is a deeply human story, a narrative of
My only point. He's phenomenal, and he's great, and he's unblemished in his career. And when you see Floyd Mayweather, when you see him in
ambition, hubris, regret, and ultimately, the painful process of self-realization. It forces the observer to grapple with uncomfortable questions about what it means to live under the constant glare of public scrutiny and how the pursuit of an ideal can sometimes blind even the brightest of stars to the realities of their own imperfection. In the reflective aftermath of his tearful admission, many have come to see this as a moment of reckoning, a moment when the masked superstar revealed the vulnerable soul beneath. Stephen Smith's voice, filled with both gravitas and empathy, has helped guide audiences through this tumultuous period, urging a more thoughtful consideration of the forces that drive public figures to create and maintain elaborate facades. In many ways, the unfolding events serve as a stark reminder of the dual-edged nature of fame. While the spotlight can elevate and immortalize, it can also isolate and expose. The intricate layers of Mayweather's carefully guarded persona have now been laid bare revealing not only the triumphs but also the struggles and contradictions that define his life. This duality is poignantly encapsulated in the public's reaction, a mixture of admiration for his undeniable talent and sorrow for the personal toll that such relentless scrutiny has exacted. The narrative that has emerged from the trial is one of both celebration and lamentation, a reminder that even the most dazzling careers can be dimmed by the harsh realities of life. Through it all, Stephen Smith's measured analyses have provided a balanced perspective, one that recognizes the incredible achievements of a boxing legend, while also acknowledging the very human cost of maintaining an image of perfection. Beyond the immediate details of the case, the cultural reverberations of Mayweather's situation are beginning to unfold in unexpected ways. Across media outlets, think pieces and editorials are emerging that examine the broader implications of a society that often conflates financial prowess with personal worth. In these discussions, Mayweather is frequently cited as a symbol of both the promise and peril of celebrity culture, a man whose life epitomizes the precarious balance between luminous success and the crushing weight of expectation. Many believe that this case will serve as a catalyst for a more informed public dialogue on issues ranging from financial transparency to the ethical responsibilities of those who bask in the limelight. Stephen Smith has been one of the leading voices in this dialogue, urging viewers to embrace the complexity of the story rather than settle for simplistic narratives. In his measured tone, he has encouraged a deeper exploration into how the constructs of fame and fortune are not only built on dreams, but are also vulnerable to the same harsh realities that affect us all. As the layers
Dwayne Wade training his son, you don't see Dwayne Wade playing against just anybody. He's not doing it. You haven't earned that privilege. It's a privilege to be in the company of greatness, in their venue, in their habitat, in their specialized, home, per se. Floyd Money Mayweather should not be letting just anybody in the ring with him. That's my
of the case continue to be unraveled in the media, and, in private reflections, one cannot help but be struck by the sheer breadth of its impact. Every new piece of evidence, every emotional outburst in the courtroom, and every reflective moment captured in private recordings contributes to a mosaic of human experience that is as grand as it is tragic. The transformation of Floyd Mayweather from an untouchable champion to a man unburdening his soul in front of thousands has forced a national, and indeed international, reassessment of what it means to be truly strong. In a powerful statement that has reverberated across social media and news networks alike, Stephen Smith stated, "This is more than a legal case. It is a moment that challenges us all to see beyond the flash of fame and confront the inevitable truth that vulnerability is a part of being human." His words have resonated deeply, sparking a wave of introspection that has united audiences in both empathy and a newfound understanding of the cost of stardom. In retrospect, the saga of Floyd Mayweather's legal and personal unraveling is a narrative layered with complexity and contradiction. It is the story of a man who once stood as a near mythical figure in the realm of sports and entertainment, only to find that the glimmer of unassailable prestige was built on foundations that could be shaken by the relentless pursuit of truth. The cascade of revelations, from the covert financial arrangements to the private voice memos steeped in regret, has forced a reconsideration of long-held beliefs about invincibility and the nature of success. In an era where celebrities are often deified without any real accountability, the events unfolding within the walls of the courtroom have provided a stark lesson in humility. Every whispered confession, every encrypted message, and every tear shed has contributed to a narrative that is as deeply personal as it is universally resonant. Stephen Smith's unerring ability to connect with the audience on this matter has elevated the case from a mere legal proceeding to a powerful allegory for the human condition itself. As the final chapters of this saga continue to be written, the story of Floyd Mayweather's extraordinary fall has inspired widespread reflection on the true meaning of redemption. Amid the legal battles and media scrutiny, there exists a quiet undercurrent of hope, a recognition that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, there is the possibility of rebirth and transformation. The emotions that spilled forth in that fateful courtroom moment have not only laid bare the inner struggles of a fallen icon, but have also provided a mirror for every individual wrestling with their own imperfections. Far from being a tale of utter defeat, it is emerging as a story of raw honesty, a testament to the transformative power of acknowledging one's vulnerabilities. In a reflective interview that has since become a touchstone for many, Mayweather
whipping him pretty good. I was not there. I did not see it. I do not know. Here's what I do know, which is where my disappointment comes from. When you are as great as Floyd Money Mayweather, everybody doesn't deserve to be in your space. I know you like to make money. You're never going to stop making money. Very, very few people on the planet know how to make money like you know how to make money. But some of this stuff is...
confessed that he longed for the day when his mistakes could serve as a guiding light for others. Stephen Smith reiterated this sentiment, urging viewers to see the beauty in imperfection and the strength found in vulnerability, a message that has resonated powerfully in these challenging times. The unfolding drama also highlights the intricacies of modern celebrity culture, a culture in which personal brand image management and financial wizardry often blur the lines between reality and illusion. For years, the public consumed a narrative of triumph that was as meticulously manufactured as it was widely celebrated. However, when the veil was finally lifted, it became evident that every achievement carried with it a deeper, more complex reality. The carefully orchestrated world of celebrity endorsements, public appearances, and lavish displays of wealth can sometimes mask the intricate difficulties of actual human experience. In this case, the discrepancy between the glamorous image and the messy, often painful truth has sparked a national debate on the ethical implications of such constructs. Stephen Smith's incisive commentary on the subject has emphasized that while the fall of a legend is always tragic, it also offers a unique opportunity for introspection and reinvention, a chance to redefine success in terms of authenticity rather than illusion. It is often said that the most transformative moments in history arise not from triumph alone, but from the scars of defeat. The narrative of Floyd Mayweather, once the untouchable champion, now serves as a living testament to that truth. In the midst of a legal maelstrom, where every secret uncovered and every emotion bared speaks to the high stakes of fame, there lies an undeniable message about human resilience. The image of a boxer who never tasted defeat is now forever intertwined with a man who has faced his deepest fears head-on. The painful yet cathartic journey of exposing one's vulnerabilities has opened a path towards reconciliation, a promise that even those who fall from grace may one day find a way to rise again. Stephen Smith's reflective insights have been instrumental in framing this narrative as not simply one of downfall, but one of potential rebirth and redemption, a call for every individual to embrace both their achievements and their shortcomings with equal measure of honesty. In the quiet aftermath of the courtroom drama, as legal experts continue to dissect every facet of the case and social media lights up with passionate debate, the true story of Floyd Mayweather is emerging as a richly woven tapestry of human experience. It is a tapestry that illustrates the delicate interplay between public expectation and private reality, between a public persona that demands perfection and the raw truth of our shared human imperfections. Each recorded whisper,
not the kind of stuff that's just embarrassing. Look at this here, please.
That's it.
each encrypted file, each tear shed in that dramatic moment has coalesced into a powerful reminder of the timeless truth that no one, no matter how celebrated or skilled, can escape the inevitable confrontation with one's own vulnerabilities. Stephen Smith's heartfelt commentary and incisive analysis have served not only as a guide through this labyrinth of revelations, but also as a clarion call for deeper understanding and compassion in a world that often judges too harshly from afar. In the final analysis, the story of Floyd Mayweather's emotional breakdown in court is more than just a headline or a fleeting moment of scandal. It is a transformative episode that challenges the very foundations of celebrity culture and personal legacy. It invites us to question the narratives we have long held dear about success, wealth, and invincibility, the revelations of hidden financial dealings, the intimate admissions recorded in vulnerable moments, and the public disintegration of a once glorious image, all coalesce into a powerful lesson about the cost of living a life in the limelight. The legal proceedings may eventually yield a final verdict, but the true impact of this case will endure far beyond the confines of a courtroom. It will continue to inform our collective understanding of the interplay between personal ambition and the inexorable truth, reminding us all that every life, regardless of its outward brilliance, is ultimately marked by the universal struggle for authenticity and redemption. As this tumultuous chapter continues to unfold, countless questions remain unanswered. How will this reckoning reshape the landscape of celebrity culture? Can the legacy of a man who once seemed invulnerable ever be fully rehabilitated? Or will his story serve as a permanent cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the relentless pursuit of perfection? While legal experts deliberate and public opinion shifts with each new piece of evidence, one thing is certain: the emotional resonance of this case has touched a chord that goes far beyond the sphere of boxing or entertainment. It has underscored the fact that behind every meticulously crafted public persona lies a human being, subject to the same trials, doubts, and emotional burdens that define our shared existence. Stephen Smith's empathetic yet unflinching analysis has elevated the discussion from one of sensational headlines to a broader conversation about the cost of dreaming and the price of fame. In this unfolding drama, where every revelation is a brushstroke on a canvas both vast and intimate, we are compelled to reassess the markers of success and the measures by which we define true strength. The narrative of Floyd Mayweather, laid bare in courtroom confessions and dissected by relentless investigation, is a living reminder that vulnerability can be as powerful a force as the pursuit of glory.
He's on that side, so he got to say things that, you know, like, I don't like that guy. Like, come on, bro, you don't know me. I feel talking about my security. What my security got to do that? And that's also showing that people's real character, like, cool niggas that, you know, even like the code, alright, cool. I just say like the. I don't even want to get into that. Like,
what's a bigger fight for you? You versus Floyd or you versus Anyway? Because I know you don't like talking about Anyway, but you know what I mean. That fight, that's Godzilla versus King Kong right there.
But it's like that's like I gotta fight for everybody. He just said like this guy is three, 4 weight class. Like that's what it is.
Each tear, each whispered regret, each piece of hidden evidence contributes to a story that is not merely about legal transgressions or financial mismanagement, but about the universal human capacity for error, growth, and ultimately, redemption. The legacy of a man once ensconced in the halo of invincibility now takes on a more nuanced human dimension, a story that has the power to inspire empathy and foster a deeper understanding of what it means to truly live, struggle, and ultimately to overcome. As we stand at the precipice of what may well be a turning point in the narrative of modern celebrity, the lessons drawn from this case resonate with a clarity that is both startling and deeply moving. The fall of Floyd Mayweather, with all its complex layers of ambition, illusion, and painful self-revelation, has become a symbol for the enduring human struggle against the weight of expectation. It has challenged us to look beyond the shimmering surface of fame and to appreciate the profound truths that lie within every human heart. Stephen Smith's passionate commentary has illuminated this struggle, inviting us all to rethink the very essence of strength, vulnerability, and the price of the dreams we so earnestly pursue. In closing, the extraordinary events witnessed in that courtroom have forever altered the public's perception of Floyd Mayweather and, by extension, the broader culture of celebrity. His tearful confession and the ensuing revelations have not only reshaped the narrative of a once untouchable icon, but have also sparked a national dialogue about the true nature of success and the inherent fragility of even the most meticulously constructed public personas. As we continue to process the torrent of emotions and revelations, one thing remains clear. Every great story, no matter how seemingly invincible its hero, is ultimately defined by the human truths it unveils. The trial has laid bare the intricate interplay between public expectation and private anguish, reminding us that behind every legend is a person capable of both remarkable triumph and profound vulnerability. Thank you for joining me as I delved into this riveting saga, a story where legal battles, personal regrets, and the relentless march of truth collide in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. If you found this narrative as compelling and transformative as I did, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more in-depth analyses and exclusive updates on this and other groundbreaking stories. Your subscription not only keeps you informed, but also joins you with a community that values truth, passion, and the relentless pursuit of understanding in a world full of complexities. Stay tuned for more, and thank you for being part of this incredible journey.